Michelle Brown is accused of shooting her husband, Jeremy Brown, to death. This happened in Mississippi Saturday morning over the weekend. Now, according to investigators, they got into an argument about him not cooking for the kids before he had to go to work, among other things. That argument turned physical and ended with the fatal shooting, which played out on a Facebook Live stream.
March 25th, 2023, 7:42 a.m. 4 kids are about to watch their father die, and thousands of strangers are watching too. Columbus, Mississippi, a quiet Saturday morning in the Green Tree Apartments. Most people are still asleep, but inside Unit 500, Jeremy Brown is trying to leave. His wife, Khadijah, won't let him, and she's streaming the whole thing on Facebook Live. Ever scrolled past something awful and kept moving? Yeah, so did 300 people that morning. They watched, they commented, they shared. But nobody called for help until it was too late. Here's what gets me. This wasn't random. This wasn't a surprise. What if I told you this could have been stopped 3 different times? If you've ever ignored a red flag in your own relationship or someone else's, you need to hear this. And if you're smart, you'll hit subscribe before I tell you why ignoring the signs almost always ends the same way. Because what happened in that apartment didn't start that morning. It started years before. And the warning signs? They were everywhere. Welcome to Unseen True Crime Stories, where the darkest secrets and untold cases come to light. Consider subscribing and tapping the notification bell. That way you won't miss our next true crime story.
I'm over here. No, you ain't trying to get ready for work. Look at him. This is a sad case, y'all. He getting his stuff. Look at that. Sad case. As a father.
Okay, Jeremy, what is the conversation you want to have?
We good.
Yeah. And your baby in the room.
Conversation you want to have?
We good. Give me my phone, bro. Don't
What is the conversation you want to have?
What the conversation?
Get out my
He
phone.
said, what's the conversation?
Motherfucker gonna keep her hands
Kill
on me,
your
bro.
ass, not bitch. Stop. Nobody, I can get out my bed for this.
Man, people so
Stop.
fucking, man. Go ahead, lose my shoes, man.
Oh, you ain't getting nothing. Everything in the top belong to me.
Stop. Get somewhere and sit down. Y'all gonna have to stop all this. Cause then y'all wonder why the kids.
Jeremy Brown, born June 24th, 1994, 28 years old, father of 4, worked 9 to 5 at National Sales and Lease. Took his family to church every Sunday. By all accounts, he was the guy who showed up, the guy who provided, the guy who tried. Khadijah Michelle Brown, same age, same hometown. They met in high school, fell in love young, got married March 5th, 2017. 6 years later, they had 4 kids, Jeremiah, Zanea, Messiah, and Josiah. From the outside, they looked like they had it figured out. But here's the thing about domestic violence. It doesn't announce itself. It hides behind closed doors, behind smiles and church photos, behind the "we're fine." You tell your family. In Columbus, Mississippi is a small town. Everybody knows everybody. So when things go wrong, people whisper, they assume, they don't interfere. Sheriff Eddie Hawkins said it himself after the arrest. There was a history of domestic violence between Brown and the victim, both of them. A cycle that kept spinning, and nobody stopped it. But here's what nobody saw coming. Jeremy had been planning to leave for weeks. He'd had enough. The fights, the accusations, the chaos. He wanted out. And on March 24th, just 36 hours before the gunshot, Khadijah found out why. March 24th, 2023. Khadijah posts screenshots on her Facebook page. Instagram DMs between Jeremy and another woman. Flirty messages, maybe more. She's accusing him publicly, humiliating him online for everyone to see. The comments pour in. Friends take sides. Strangers weigh in. The kind of digital pile-on that makes everything worse. But it doesn't stop there. That night they argue, all night. The kind of fight that doesn't end, it just escalates. Voices get louder, threats get sharper. And by morning, Khadijah's mother is there too, trying to keep the peace, trying, failing. Now look, if you're the type who thinks this would never happen to me, cool. Don't subscribe. But when you're 3 arguments deep and someone's reaching for something they shouldn't, don't say nobody warned you. Actually, go down to the comments right now and tell me why you're so sure you'd see it coming. Because at 7:30 a.m., Jeremy tried to walk out. He wanted to leave, to cool off, to get away before things got worse. And that's when Khadijah hit go live. The phone's recording. The screen is shaky. You can hear everything. Jeremy's voice cuts through. First, don't touch me. Tell your daughter to keep her hands off me. He's holding his phone to his ear, trying to call someone, trying to get help. But Khadijah's mother is there, and she's not letting him leave either. This is your family. You're supposed to be here helping, taking care of the kids. Jeremy again, louder now. Don't touch me. I'll call the police over that. He's backing toward the door. He just wants out. But the argument is closing in on him. The tension is suffocating. You can feel it through the screen, and then the phone drops. The screen goes black, but the audio, still rolling. You hear movement, shuffling, voices overlapping, and then a gunshot, silence. Then Khadijah's voice. Oh my God. I didn't know it was loaded. And in the background, the sound that will haunt you, 4 kids screaming, "Daddy!" 300 people were watching live. Some of them recorded it. Within an hour, it went viral, shared, commented on, turned into a spectacle. And here's the part that'll make your blood run cold. The cops didn't get the call from Khadijah. Someone else called 911. And by the time deputies arrived at 500 Green Tree Drive, Jeremy was already gone.
New at noon, a woman charged with killing her husband on Facebook Live is in a Lowndes County courtroom. A hearing is taking place right now where she is expected to plead guilty. Prosecutors charged Khadijah Brown with murder back in 2023. They say she killed her husband, 28-year-old Jeremy Brown, after a night of arguing. He tried to leave the apartment to defuse the situation, but that's when deputies say she shot him. Deputies found the gun used in that shooting.
Khadijah Brown pled guilty to second-degree murder today in Lowndes County Circuit Court. She was ordered to serve 34 years in prison. 6 years of the sentence was suspended. Brown shot 38-year-old Jeremy Brown at their Green Tree apartment in March of 2023. At the time, Sheriff Eddie Hawkins says the couple had been arguing the night before the shooting. The sheriff told WCBI Jeremy Brown was allegedly trying to leave the apartment the next morning and defuse the situation before he was shot. The shooting happened on a Facebook live stream and made national headlines. You may remember that. Khadijah Brown told the court the shooting was an accident.
Michelle Brown is accused of shooting her husband, Jeremy Brown, to death. This happened in Mississippi Saturday morning over the weekend. Now, according to investigators, they got into an argument about him not cooking for the kids before he had to go to work, among other things. That argument turned physical and ended with the fatal shooting, which played out on a Facebook Live stream.
I ain't really trying to argue at all. I'm just trying to get my...
No, you want to go tell your family about this and about that. You want to do this.
I'm trying to leave from over here and pee, man. I ain't trying to argue at all.
Then y'all wonder why the kids.
A tragic reminder that men are also or could be victims in domestic violence, but we have to watch and see what happens and what plays out in this investigation. So we don't want to be quick to say he was a victim of domestic violence. We just don't know what happened. Now, Brown is in police custody tonight, that being the wife. Police say there was a history of domestic violence between Brown and the victim. They didn't say on which side, who was committing the domestic violence. Joining me now for the conversation tonight, we have with us trauma therapist Chow Nguyen and the director of violence prevention and training at the Houston Area Women's Center, Michelle Sachs. Got to have you all here on the Factor on Sense. You know, and I listened to that video, and we all listened, and in all honesty, you hear her say, "I didn't know there was a gun in the chamber," and you hear her say, there was something else she said. I didn't mean to pull the trigger. Well, but it's just, it's like we have to figure out what happened here. We just don't know the details yet.
But we do know a couple of things, Isaiah. There is a predictor. There was a gun in the house and a history of domestic violence. Someone's going to die with a gun and a history of domestic violence. Whether the perpetrator was the wife or the husband, now we've got a family that's destroyed, kids who have lost one or both of their parents potentially. But you're right, it could go both ways. Was the woman a victim in this case, and she perpetrated this crime out of self-defense? We know of a lot of justified homicides. There are a lot of women coming out of the prison system killing their intimate partner or spouses because of that history. So we don't know everything quite yet.
And we lost a video where we could see maybe what was happening, but we only hear audio. So what did you ascertain from that audio when you heard it?
Well, I think when she's saying that she didn't mean to, right? She didn't mean to pull the trigger. I think it's stating that she had it, right? That she had the gun. But, you know, as Chow was saying, what we know now is that if there's a firearm in the house and there's domestic violence going on, it can be up to like 500 times as likely that, like she said, someone's going to die. There is going to be a homicide.
And it's typically the victim.
And when you guys, they throw in social media, and they're on display for the whole world to see, and they know this. So you get more attitude, you get more violence with people because they know people are watching.
Yeah, they're putting the person front and center and saying, look at what's happening. The kids are here. The whole world's watching. The internet, my friends, my family members. Now you're more prone to seeing and witnessing the violence. So it's not just within the family unit that domestic violence is happening. Now people are exposed. People are terrorized watching this video. And how sad that these kids have lost their parents. We don't know, but we do know a lot about domestic violence. And I think few would dispute that domestic violence is typically crimes committed by men against women. What makes this unusual is the wife pulled the trigger.
So how do you help these children recover from this, Michelle? This is a tough road that they have to take.
Yeah. No, it's definitely going to take a lot of counseling, a lot of therapy, and a lot of support. You know, again, we don't know what the situation is. They've lost one parent. The other one's, you know, been arrested. So hopefully there's family that can, you know, that can come in
and we talk about adverse childhood experiences. Look, I'm a trauma therapist. When you are in a family where you witness domestic violence, you can either become a perpetrator yourself or you become a victim. That cycle perpetuates. It repeats itself in the future. Very scary process.
And really quick for both of you, when we took a look at what they were arguing over, it was almost frivolous to what we cover typically. You know, there is some violence, there's something ugly going on in the family where one family member pulls a trigger on another. But they're arguing, what we heard is him not coming home, cooking for the kids before he goes to work.
Yeah, there was probably a history of other things going on. That was probably
that's what that argument was about, child. That's what they put on social media, and that's what they streamed live. It was almost frivolous.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Clearly there was something else going on there, right? And
there's a history, like you guys said.
The history right there, and then I think whatever it is that led to it, right? The decision to even put this on Facebook Live, you know, was it a cry for help? Was it, like Chow was saying, to expose it, right? So that up to us. But again, we don't know what was going on in that house.
And Isaiah, I hope that when your viewers are watching and they go, oh my gosh, this woman shot her husband, that at least they know that these things are serious. Guns in the house make you more prone to dying, and that there is help out there. We are talking about it in your very big form. You know, Michelle works at the Houston Area Women's Center. I'm a trauma therapist. There is help and there is hope to get out of this cycle of violence.
All right, ladies, thank you for joining us here on The Factor.
This is the kind of story Unseen True Crime Stories is dedicated to sharing, not just for entertainment, but for vital, grim lessons. If this story stirred something in you, if it made you think, then you know you need to be here for the next one. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and if you're still scrolling past without joining, I have to ask, what truth are you afraid to face? What essential understanding are you willing to miss out on? Tell us in the comments. We'll be here continuing to shed light on the shadows, because sometimes understanding the darkness is the only way to find the light. Thank you for watching.